Clara's piercing scream erupted the moment I opened the door, tearing through the silence and heralding a nightmare I never could have foreseen. I stepped into the living room, the floor creaking under my boots. Clara sat on the couch, her face pale, eyes wide for a split second before she masked it with a smile, tight and unnatural. Mia, her best friend, perched beside her, hands clasped too tightly in her lap. They'd been arguing. That much was clear, but now their voices dropped to whispers, quick and secretive, like conspirators caught in the act. Their eyes darted to each other, a silent agreement passing between them, and it twisted something deep in my chest. I set my keys down, the clink loud in the quiet, and fixed my gaze on Clara. What's going on here? Her laugh came too fast, a brittle sound that didn't reach her eyes. Oh, we were just getting carried away, girl talk. Mia nodded, her smile as forced as Clara's, and mumbled something about needing to check her phone. It was a performance, and I wasn't buying it. That's not what I heard, I said, my voice steady but edged with something harder. Clara's smile faltered, and Mia's eyes stayed glued to her screen, avoiding me entirely. I crossed my arms, waiting, the air heavy with unspoken truths. Mia left soon after, her goodbye rushed, her heels clicking too fast on hardwood. The door shut, and I turned to Clara, my patience thinning. Enough games! What are you hiding? She sighed, running a hand through her hair, her eyes flickering with something I couldn't name, fear, maybe, or guilt. It's nothing bad, Ryan. I swear, just a big mess from my old job. Mia's helping me sort it out, but it's complicated. I need to handle it my way. Her words were vague, a puzzle with missing pieces, and they only fueled the unease gnawing at me. What kind of mess? I pressed, stepping closer. She shook her head, resolute. I'll tell you everything when it's done, but not now. Please, trust me. Then came the request, sudden and jarring. I need you to drive me somewhere tomorrow morning, early. It's important. My stomach tightened. Where? She hesitated, her lips parting before she caught herself. I'll explain later. Just be there for me, okay? I wanted to argue, to demand answers, but her eyes held a plea that stopped me cold. Against every instinct screaming in my gut, I nodded, the weight of her secrecy settling like a stone in my chest. As I lay in bed that night, sleep wouldn't come. Clara's scream echoed in my mind, a warning I couldn't shake. I felt like a stranger in my own life, pushed to the edges of a story she wouldn't let me read. Was I too suspicious, seeing shadows where there were none? Or was this the start of something darker, a storm I could feel but not yet see? I closed my eyes, clinging to a fragile hope that tomorrow would bring clarity. But deep down, I knew better. Something was coming, and I wasn't ready. I agreed to drive her, but a chill lingered in my bones, a premonition I couldn't shake. Was I jumping at ghosts, or was this the calm before a hurricane? Stick with me as we unravel this tangled web, and let's find out together what's waiting around the corner. If you're hooked, hit that subscribe button to keep up with the twists ahead. Where are you listening from today? Share below, and let's dive deeper into the truth. Clara's hand shook me awake before dawn, her voice sharp and urgent. Ryan, get up, we're late. My eyes adjusted to the dim light, and I saw her standing by the bed, already dressed, a vision in a tight black dress that hugged her curves in a way that felt foreign. Her makeup was flawless, lips redder than I remembered, but her eyes darted nervously, avoiding mine. I sat up groggy, my unease from last night still coiled tight in my gut. She moved quickly, grabbing her purse, her heels clicking like a countdown. I pulled on jeans and a shirt, my mind racing with the memory of her scream, her vague promises. This wasn't my Clara, not anymore. The drive was silent. The directions clipped. Turn left here. Keep going. I gripped the wheel, stealing glances at her, the dress riding up her thigh, a stranger's confidence in her posture. We pulled up to a restaurant downtown, its glass facade gleaming under morning sun, the kind of place reserved for power lunches, not early errands. Mia stood at the entrance, sleek in a crimson blazer, waving Clara over with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Stay here, Clara said, her tone final. It's a work thing, won't take long. Before I could protest, she was gone, disappearing with Mia into the polished interior, leaving me alone with the hum of the engine and a sinking feeling. I couldn't sit still. Something primal pushed me out of the car, across the street, into the restaurant's cool air. I slipped into a corner booth, ordered a coffee to blend in, my eyes scanning the room. There she was, Clara, at a table near the window, laughing with Mia and two men in tailored suits. One, lean with sharp features, leaned close to her, his voice low. The other, broader, watched her with a grin that made my stomach churn. James and Victor. I'd learn later, but in that moment, they were threats, their presence pulling Clara into a world I didn't know. I fumbled for my phone, snapping photos, my hands trembling as I zoomed in. Clara's laugh rang out, too bright, and then I caught it, her voice clear over the clink of glasses. "This is our one shot. James, we can't miss it." My breath hitched. "One shot at what?" James nodded, his hand brushing hers, a deliberate touch that lingered too long. She didn't pull away. My chest tightened, a hot spike of jealousy mixing with dread. I zoomed in closer, catching the glint in her eyes, the way she leaned into his words. Then, a waiter passed, and I overheard James murmur, "Make sure you're all in, Clara. No half measures." Her nod was subtle, but it landed like a blow. I left before they saw me, my coffee untouched, and waited in the car, my mind storm. When Clara slid into the passenger seat, her face glowed with excitement. "You won't believe how well that went," she said, her voice bubbling. "We're so close to something huge." I forced a nod, my throat tight. "What was it about?" I pressed, but she waved me off, her smile unwavering. "You'll see soon, Ryan, trust me." I didn't trust her, not anymore. As we drove home, her hand rested on mine, but it felt cold, like a stranger's. I gripped the wheel harder, the photos burning a hole in my pocket, proof that whatever she was chasing, I wasn't part of it. That moment in the restaurant changed everything. I saw Clara, my Clara, slipping away, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was losing her to something darker than I could imagine. Stay with me as we dig deeper into this unraveling mystery. If you're feeling the tension, hit subscribe to catch what's coming next. Where are you tuning in from today? Let me know below, and let's keep chasing the truth together. The drive home from the restaurant left a bitter taste. Clara's cold hand on mine, a stark reminder of the distance growing between us. Her words echoed in my head. Something huge, trust me, but trust was slipping through my fingers like sand. I couldn't shake the image of James' hand on hers, the way she leaned into his voice, or her cryptic talk of a one-shot deal. By the time we stepped through her front door, my patience had frayed to nothing. I turned to her, my voice low but firm. "Clara, I saw you with those guys. I heard you. Tell me what's going on now." Her eyes widened, a flicker of panic crossing her face before she smoothed it away. She set her purse down, movements deliberate, and faced me with a sigh. "Ryan, you were spying on me." Her tone carried a hint of accusation, but I wasn't backing down. "You're dodging me," I said, stepping closer. "I deserve the truth." She hesitated, her fingers twisting together, then launched into a story that felt rehearsed. "It's about my old job," she began. "I messed up, handled some sensitive client data wrong, and this guy, a coworker, found out. He tried to blackmail me, said he'd ruin me unless I played along. He's gone now, fired, but left me in a bad spot." I listened, my heart pounding, searching her face for cracks in the tale. "Who are James and Victor then?" I pressed. She swallowed, her gaze steadying. "They're contacts Mia knows, people who can help me start over, get my career back on track. They got a big project, and I'm close to locking it down." Her words were smooth, but they lacked weight, like a script missing its ending. "What project?" I demanded, my voice rising. She shook her head, a faint smile tugging at her lips. "I'll explain everything once it's set, I promise. Just trust me a little longer." Then came the next bombshell. "We're heading to Mia's place this weekend," she said, her voice brightening. "It's a big meeting, out at her house in the suburbs. I need you there, Ryan, for support." My stomach churned. Another vague plan, another step into her shadowed world. I opened my mouth to argue, but her purse slipped from the counter, spilling its contents. A card fluttered to the floor, gold embossed, James' name glaring up at me, alongside a logo I didn't recognize, something about elite events. I snatched it up. "What's this?" Her face paled, and she lunged, grabbing it back. "Just an old contact," she stammered, stuffing it away. But her phone lit up on the counter, a message flashing before she snatched it too. I caught a glimpse, Mia's name, words that burned into me. "Keep in the dark, Clara, or it's over." My blood ran cold. I stared at her, the card, the phone, the pieces snapping together into something ugly. "You're lying," I said, my voice barely a whisper. She met my eyes, defiant yet pleading. "I'm not, Ryan, I swear. Come with me this weekend, you'll see." I wanted to scream, to tear through her excuses, but a part of me clung to the woman I loved, the one who couldn't be this. Far gone. Against every warning in my gut, I nodded, my jaw tight. "Fine, I'll go." But as she turned away, relief in her step, I felt the ground shifting beneath me. I was walking into a trap, and I couldn't see the way out. That nod wasn't surrender. It was a choice to face whatever Clara was hiding head on. The weekend loomed like a storm cloud, and I wasn't sure I'd come out unscathed. Stay with me as we step closer to the truth. It's only getting wilder. If you're gripped by this twist, hit subscribe to catch what's next. Where are you listening from today? Share below, and let's unravel this mess together. The weekend arrived like a storm I couldn't outrun, Clara's half-truths and that damning text from Mia looping in my mind. We drove to her friend's suburban estate, the road stretching into dusk, my hands tied on the wheel. Clara sat beside me, radiant in a shimmering silver gown, her beauty a painful reminder of the woman I thought I knew. She hummed softly, oblivious to the weight crushing my chest. I felt like a passenger in my own life, dragged toward a truth I wasn't sure I could face. The house loomed ahead, a sprawling mansion aglow with lights, luxury cars lining the drive like trophies. This wasn't a meeting, it was a spectacle. Inside, the air buzzed with wealth, crystal chandeliers casting glints over silk dresses and tailored suits. Music pulsed, low and seductive, as guests mingled with practiced ease. Clara stepped forward, instantly swarmed, her laugh ringing out as if she owned the room. James and Victor appeared, their smiles sharp, pulling her into their orbit with whispers and touches that made my skin crawl. I trailed behind, a shadow in her spotlight, my presence barely acknowledged. I tried striking up conversations, but the guests' eyes slid past me, their polite nods cold, like I was an intruder gate-crashing their secret club. Mia materialized, her crimson dress a stark contrast to her calculated warmth. She steered me toward a bar, her hand light but firm on my arm. "Let Clara work, Ryan. She's in her element," she said, her voice smooth as poison. I shook her off, my gaze locked on Clara, now deep in hush talk with James, his hand grazing her shoulder. My stomach twisted, but before I could move, Victor clapped a hand on my back, guiding me away. "She's got this," he murmured, his tone implying more than I wanted to hear. I broke free, my heart pounding, only to see Clara slip into a side room with both men, the door closing with a soft click. Time dragged, each minute a needle in my nerves. When Clara emerged, her face was alight, a nervous edge to her glow. She grabbed my hand, pulling me close. "Ryan, it's official," she said, her voice trembling with excitement. "I'm their new senior client experience manager. It's a huge deal, exclusive." I stared at her, searching for the lie. "What's the job? Clara, what's exclusive about it?" She laughed, too loud, and Mia chimed in, waving a hand. "Relax, Ryan. Enjoy the night. You're too tense." Their dismissal stung, but then I caught Victor's voice, low and meant for her alone, as they passed. "You're locked in now, Clara. No backing out." Her nod was quick, almost fearful. Later, I saw her slip a thick envelope to Mia in a shadowed corner, their eyes darting to ensure no one noticed. My throat tightened, the room spinning with questions I couldn't voice. I wanted to grab her, demand answers, but her world felt like quicksand, pulling me under with every step. I stayed, not for her laughter or the champagne, but to watch, to learn what she'd traded our life for. As we left, her hand in mine felt like a lifeline I no longer trusted, and I knew I was deeper in her game than ever. This night wasn't clarity, it was a maze, and I was lost in it. Clara's new role, those whispered warnings, that envelope, they're pieces of a puzzle I'm desperate to solve. Stay with me as we chase the truth. It's only getting murkier. If you're hooked, hit subscribe to catch the next twist. Where are you listening from today? Share below, and let's step further into this chaos together. Days after the mansion party, Clara's new role hung over me like a guillotine, her excitement a stark contrast to my dread. Victor's whispered warning, that envelope to Mia, played on repeat in my mind, each memory a splinter under my skin. When she bounced into the kitchen one evening, her eyes alight, I braced myself. "Ryan, we're going back to Mia's tomorrow," she said, her voice brimming with urgency. "It's the big launch for my project. You have to come." My stomach sank, but I saw my chance to end the charade. I nodded, my jaw tight, driven not by trust, but by a need to see her world unmasked. The drive to the suburbs felt endless, Clara's chatter about exclusive events and big futures a dull hum against my racing thoughts. Mia's estate glowed brighter this time, the air thick with perfume and excess. Inside, the party pulsed with a frenetic energy, guests draped in silk and velvet, their laughter sharp, eyes gleaming with secrets. Clara, in a crimson gown that screamed confidence, melted into the crowd, leaving me adrift. I scanned the room, spotting James and Victor near a makeshift stage, their presence a magnet for whispers and glances. My chest tightened, the weight of their influence on her crushing me. Halfway through the night, Victor stepped onto the stage, his voice cutting through the din. "Tonight's not just a launch," he declared, his grin wide. "It's the start of our Elite Experience series, private parties for those who dare to indulge." The crowd cheered, but his next words froze my blood. "Welcome to our first intimate gala, where boundaries dissolve." I stood rooted, the phrase intimate gala code I couldn't mistake, its meaning vile. My eyes found Clara, her face flushed, not with shock but anticipation. Rage surged, drowning my doubt. I pushed through the crowd, grabbed her arm, and pulled her toward the exit, her protests lost in the roar of my pulse. "We're leaving," I growled, my grip unyielding as I dragged her past stunned faces. She stumbled into the car, silent, her defiance crumbling. At home, she staggered inside, reeking of liquor and something sweeter, her gown torn at the hem, lipstick smeared. She retched into the sink, collapsing onto the couch, a stranger in my wife's skin. My restraint snapped. Her phone lay on the table, unguarded. I snatched it, her weak lunge too slow to stop me. The screen unlocked to a nightmare, texts flooding in from James, Victor, strangers, planning exclusive nights of debauchery. Photos followed, Clara at the center, entwined with others, her smile eager, no trace of coercion. Videos confirmed it, her laughter mingling with a familiar face, her old co-worker, proof this wasn't new. My vision blurred, heart splintering. I rounded on her, voice shaking with fury. "You did this, Clara. You chose it." She stirred, eyes glassy, mumbling excuses. "You don't get it, Ryan. I needed this, needed to feel alive." Her words were acid, burning away the last of my love. I stormed to our closet, yanking her clothes, her shoes, her lies, stuffing them into bags. "Get out," I roared, hurling them to the porch. She rose, swaying, tears streaking her face. "You'll ruin me," she screamed, clawing at my arm. I pushed her back, her pleas meaningless. "You're not my wife anymore," I said, slamming the door as she stumbled into the night. That moment shattered everything I knew. Clara's betrayal wasn't just infidelity. It was a descent I couldn't fathom. I stood alone, the house echoing with her absence, my anger a fire that wouldn't fade. Stay with me as we face what's left of this wreckage. The truth is only getting uglier. If you're reeling, hit subscribe to catch the fallout. Where are you listening from today? Share below, and let's confront this betrayal together. The door slammed behind Clara, her silhouette fading into the night, but the echo of her betrayal lingered, a wound too raw to touch. I stood in the silent house, her phone still clutched in my hand, its vile contents searing my mind. Those images, her laughter, the co-worker's familiar face, they weren't just infidelity. They were a calculated unraveling of everything we built. I sank to the floor, my breath ragged, but beneath the pain, a resolve hardened. I wouldn't let this destroy me. I'd fight, not just for myself, but to expose the machine that had swallowed her. By morning, I found a lawyer, a steely woman named Karen who listened without flinching as I spilled the story. I handed over Clara's phone, the photos from the restaurant, every text and video, my voice steady despite the ache in my chest. Karen's eyes narrowed as she scrolled, recognizing the scope of what we faced. "This isn't just personal, Ryan," she said. "There's a network here, and we're tearing it down." We tracked down Clara's old co-worker, a nervous man named Greg, who'd appeared in the videos. Karen offered him a deal, testify for leniency. He agreed, spilling names, dates, details of the company behind the parties, a front called Elite Ventures run by James and Victor. The lawsuit hit like a thunderclap. I poured everything into it, my savings, my energy, every sleepless night spent organizing evidence. Greg's testimony cracked the facade, revealing coerced employees and clients lured into debauchery under false pretenses. Other voices joined, former staff, reluctant guests, their stories mirroring my own betrayal. The court became a battlefield, and I stood firm, fueled by a need to dismantle the world that had claimed Clara. Elite Ventures crumbled, its accounts frozen, James and Victor facing charges from fraud to exploitation. The gavel fell, and the company was gone, a hollow victory that left me drained. But Clara wasn't done. Weeks into the case, she struck back, her venom seeping into my life like poison. Anonymous emails landed in my colleagues' inboxes, accusing me of lies, obsession, even violence. Posts appeared online, twisting my name into a caricature of vengeance. I traced them to her, each word a fresh cut, proof she'd rather burn me down than face herself. Then came the worst. She showed up at my office, mascara streaked, voice shrill as she screamed accusations to anyone who'd listen. "You're pathetic, Ryan, ruining me for nothing." Security hauled her out, her curses echoing down the hall. But the scene shook me, a public wound I hadn't expected. Karen urged me to counterattack. I gathered every email, every post, every witness to Clara's outburst, building a case for harassment. The divorce was swift, the evidence overwhelming. Clara's lies collapsed under scrutiny, her role in the parties laid bare. The judge granted me everything: the house, the accounts, and a permanent restraining order. Clara walked away with nothing, her defiance reduced to silence. I'd won, but victory tasted like ash. Each step had carved away a piece of me, leaving scars where hope used to be. One night, sorting through old files, I found a photo of us, smiling, untouched by her dissent. I stared at it, my throat tight, and realized I'd been fighting for more than justice. I'd been fighting to reclaim myself, to prove I was more than her betrayal. The law had spoken, but the real battle was still inside me, a quiet war to find peace in the ruins she left behind. Clara's gone, but the fallout isn't over. I won the fight, but at what cost? Stay with me as we pick up the pieces. The end is closer than you think. If you're gripped by this struggle, hit subscribe to see how it closes. Where are you listening from today? Share below, and let's face the final chapter together. The courtroom's echo faded, but Clara's shadow clung to me, her venomous attacks a reminder of the woman I'd lost. I'd won justice, stripped her lies bare, but the house we shared felt like a tomb, every corner haunted by memories I couldn't escape. I sat with her phone's evidence one night, my thumb hovering over the files, wrestling with a choice. I could bury the truth, let her rewrite her story, or I could set it free, not for revenge, but for clarity to shatter the mask she wore for others. I chose the latter, sending select messages and images to her closest friends and her sister, my heart heavy but steady. I wasn't destroying her, I was freeing myself. The fallout was swift. Her sister called first, voice breaking, saying she couldn't face Clara's excuses anymore. Friends unfollowed her online, their silence louder than words. Clara's world unraveled, her charm useless against the raw truth. I heard she tried to spin it, painting me as the villain, but no one listened. She packed up, left the city, chasing a fresh start in a place where her name meant nothing. I didn't follow her story, didn't need to. Her absence was enough, a wound closing slowly. I couldn't stay in our house, its walls too heavy with betrayal. I sold it, the paperwork a quiet ritual, and moved to a small apartment across town, where sunlight spilled through open windows. The new space felt like a blank page, daunting but clean. I unpacked slowly, rediscovering old hobbies, books I'd forgotten, runs through the park where my breath felt like my own again. I reached out to friends, their warmth pulling me back from the edge. I joined a group for people like me, scarred by broken trust, and found solace in shared stories, my voice stronger each time I spoke. One afternoon, in a crowded grocery store, I turned a corner and saw Clara's mother, her eyes tired but kind. She stepped closer, her hand light on my arm. I'm sorry, Ryan, she said softly. I didn't see how far she'd fallen. Her words hit like a wave, not pain, but release, a bridge to a past I could finally leave behind. I nodded, unable to speak, and walked away lighter, the encounter a small gift I hadn't expected. Time smoothed the jagged edges. I didn't forget Clara, but I let her fade, a chapter closed. The scars remained, faint reminders of a fire I'd walked through. I learned to trust again, not others, but myself, my instincts, my worth. I'd fought not to punish her, but to reclaim my life, to prove I could rise from ashes stronger. The truth, brutal as it was, had been my compass, guiding me to a peace I hadn't known I could find. I'm not the man I was before Clara's lies, and I'm grateful for it. Honesty, courage, those are my anchors now. I've learned that peace isn't revenge, it's letting go, forgiving myself for loving someone who couldn't stay. My story ends here, but it's really a beginning, a life reclaimed. We've reached the end of this wild ride. Did it hit you as hard as it did me? Share your thoughts below. I'd love to hear them. If this journey moved you, hit subscribe for more stories that cut deep. Where are you listening from today? Drop it below, and thanks for walking this path with me. Until next time, stay true.